Hello dear chess friends worldwide, broadcasting here is Fightmaster Okong, and this is an introductory video to my new book, A Vigorous Opening Repertoire for Black, a full coverage of 1e5 against e4. In this short video I would like to demonstrate one of my most beautiful attacking games in the Petrov defense. I think that in a way this game contradicts the very severe accusation of the Petrov defense being very dull and opening. This is a very defamed opening or defense, but the accusations are quite false, and it is up to white whether he would like to force a draw and avoid complications. I don't think that the Petrov is really different from many other opening. So without further ado, I think we should demonstrate this game. It was played against quite a strong amateur, Peter Gorbats, rated 2252. It was played many years ago, at least in chess terms, in 2006. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight takes e5, d6. I should briefly mention that I wrote an SOS for New in Chess showing that knight takes e4 is quite a possible choice for black, and it's not losing as many tutors try to show beginners. The point being that after queen e2, queen e7, queen takes e4, d6, d4, it's not so easy for white to show an advantage. Point is that after d takes e5, if queen takes e5, queen takes e5, d takes e5, bishop e5, and now you see that black's development is very smooth. The e5 pawn is rather weak, and I will show you that what happened in many of my blitz games on ICC. Even very strong players play this grave mistakes: bishop takes d3, and after bishop takes d3, c takes d3, knight c6, bishop f4, which is another big mistake. Now black is virtually almost winning after knight b4, quite an amazing position. Black threatens knight c2, gaining the rook, knight takes d3, gaining the bishop, and after the first move, queen d2, protecting against both threats, black can simply play long castle and gaining the pawn on d3 with a much better position. And just to show you another small trick, after d takes e5, d takes e5, black takes with the pawn. Sorry, white takes with the pawn. Now black would play knight c6, and if white employs the very materialistic move bishop e4 to protect e5, now after g5, many unsuspecting players play the move bishop g3, simply losing a piece. After f5, the bishop is trapped. Queen e2, f5, check is not useful. Queen f7, and the bishop falls next move. Quite an amazing. I don't delve into this position now because this is not the purpose of this video. So let's get back to d6. After knight f3, knight takes e4, d4. I should briefly mention that nowadays it's almost amazing how popular knight c3 became, but I don't think that strategically this opening choice is justified. White's purpose is to achieve double edge position and play long castle. Black has adequate responses to this aggressive attempt. After knight takes c3, pawn takes this, d takes c3, bishop e7, either bishop e3 or bishop e4. Let's say bishop e3, queen short castle, queen d2, knight e7 with either knight c5 or knight e5. Black is okay. Of course, this is only the tip of the iceberg. I don't dwell into the analysis of this position. Now you could see very thorough examination of this position in my book. So let's get back to d4, which used to be and still the most popular way to tackle the Petrov. After b5, bishop d3, knight c6, short castle, bishop g4. Not the most accurate move order, I should say, but after bishop e7, which is the correct move, rook e1, bishop g4 simply transposes. And here, white has two moves. I think that c4 here is more reliable than what was played in the game, which is c3. Quite enticing move for white, hoping to embarrass black. The point being that after bishop takes e4, this is not winning a pawn for white. After d takes e4, rook takes e4, simply bishop f3. And after queen f3, knight d4 with even slightly better position for black. And of course, g takes f3 is very dubious, and even losing the pawn right away, because after f5, black cannot play the stupid rook f4, because after short castle, the idea of playing bishop g5, the rook will be trapped. So after f5, white would have to relinquish the pawn on d4, and simply better position for black with these pawn instructions. So let's get back to c3. Now, after d4 is protected, white is threatening to take on e4, but a very active and promising move, which is also slightly weakening move, f5. Knight bd2, short castle, queen b3. And now a very fun and enjoyable gambit for black. White is threatening to take the pawn on b7 and also utilizing the pin on the g8, a2 diagonal, and play knight takes e4, and after f takes e4, bishop takes e4, and the pawn is pinned and cannot take the bishop in e4. So black played the most convincing way. The old theory recommends the knight e5, but I don't believe in this move. I think it's quite cheap. Black is reluctant to sacrifice material, but I don't think he achieved the best possible position. After queen h8, white is virtually forced, if he aims to gain an advantage, to take on b7, because otherwise then also knight e5 could be under better circumstances, and white has simply no active idea. His bishop on c1 is blocked, and you should notice a very common mistake here. Many players try to free themselves and play knight e5, but this is a great mistake. After knight e5, simply knight takes e5, d takes e5, and the dazzling move knight takes f2. Now white is completely lost. After queen takes f2, bishop c5, queen f1. Of course, rook e3 is answered by f4. And after queen f1, queen h4 is winning, threatening mate on f2. Only defense is rook e2. Now we don't even bother to take this rook. We take on h2, threatening the mate on h1, and if queen e1, trying to escape to the other side of the wall, simply queen g3, and the bishop is going down. So let's get back to queen b7, which my opponent play, and now the very instructive move, rook f6. Now white must be careful and play the only move, queen b3, because black threatens to play rook b8, and after queen a6, knight b4, and the bishop would be protected. So after queen b3, rook b8, we simply gain a tempo on white's queen, and also It's a very important strategical motif to prevent bishop e5. You should note that if white could successfully play knight e5 without being traded with the knight on c6, then he would be able to free himself to play f3 and to play knight d f3. So black must not allow white to play bishop e5 in favorable circumstances. So rook b8 achieved just this goal. Queen c2 was played by my opponent, and then another crafty move, rook g6. My initiative is quite dangerous for white. I mean, if he's not careful enough, he could be losing any moment. And here my opponent already made a grave mistake, a very natural one, especially in rapid games. Players want to play smooth development moves and to free all of the pieces, but sometimes it doesn't work. Our own intuition betrays us. So the best move would have been to play something like b4 and then slowly and gradually trying to eliminate this knight on c6 and to later play knight e5. Of course, it doesn't work so easily because here black could play bishop d6, and against the reckless b5 I could play knight takes d2, knight takes d2. Of course, bishop takes b2 is answered, is losing immediately after bishop takes f3. So knight takes b2 and the shocking bishop takes h2. Queen takes h2, queen h4, king g1, and a much stronger bishop h3. Stronger, I mean, than rook h6. It could be answered by f3. And still white is able to salvage this game. So after bishop h3, white is completely losing. Bishop f1 is answered by rook takes g2, to exclamation mark. Bishop takes g2, queen g4, and there is no defense. Queen f1, bishop takes g2, and a simple mate mechanism. Next, queen g2 will be mate. So let's get back to the game. After knight e5, black would simply play a strong knight takes e5, d takes e5, and again, dazzling knight takes f2. Very methodical shot. My opponent was clever enough not to receive this gift, because after king takes f2, bishop c5, king f1, and again queen h4, threatening mate, knight b3, protecting against queen f2, but then rook takes b3. Notice that knight b3 comes with the tempo on the bishop, and this piece is much more important than our rook on b8, so we sacrifice a takes b3 and queen takes g2, threatening queen h1, bishop h3, the only move. We take on e3, rook takes e3, and play queen h1, simply playing bishop d1. Notice that after queen takes a1, white could complicate matters a lot with a6, so we should avoid it. We should play bishop d1, amazing move, and then we threaten, of course, rook takes g2, and after rook g3, we simply take, and after king takes, play f4, and we can win the pawn on e5 and winning the game. So after knight f2, my opponent played knight b3, and then simply calmly retreating knight e4, a very important I mean, we gain a very important defensive pawn, and there is another wave of attack coming. Bishop f4, simply bishop f3, forcing bishop f1, and now the very strong bishop h4. Notice that now white must not play the tempting g3 because we simply sacrifice and we dismember all of his pawn, dismember all the pawn that protect the white's king. Knight takes g3, pawn takes g3, bishop takes g3, bishop takes g3, rook takes g3, and simply queen h4 with the mating attack. Rook g4 next move with queen g4, or simply rook g2 threatening to win the queen. So white is defensive, so we also threaten queen h2. No defense for white. So after bishop h4, my opponent play knight d4, and now simply bishop f2. Notice that I'm not interested in getting material here. I'm interested in simply mating white. So after bishop f2, king h1, queen h4. Now you could see that attack is becoming stronger and stronger. It's also a tempo on bishop f4. So my opponent has no choice but to take on f3. Queen takes 4. Now a very nasty threat. I threaten to play knight g3, and after h takes g3, rook h6 with mate. Rook takes h2, king take h2, and queen h6 mate. So my opponent is forced to sacrifice against this knight. He played rook takes c4, but then he's simply losing. Yes, just to show you, rook e2, it's not working. I could even play here the beautiful queen take h2, and after knight takes h2, knight g3 is mate, and king take h2, rook h6 is mate. So my opponent took on e4, simply f takes e4, queen takes f2, e takes f3. Black is the exchange up and easily winning. Queen f3, queen e5, b3. The rest is quite a simple technique. Rook f6, queen d3, rook e8, king g1. Simply want to trade queens, and the rest will be quite easy. Rook d1, c6, g3, g6, then finally rook queen e3, and I penetrate to the second rank, taking a pawn on the way. Now I simply want to eliminate the rest of white's pawns and simply threaten rook d1, and I take the rest of the pawns, and my d pawn will be sufficient for the victory. Just bring my king closer to the white's remaining pawn, and the rest is quite easy. And I advance, and my opponent resigns. Okay, I hope you like this video. Expect more to come.